All right, hey you guys, it is TsubakiSwagg, and I'm coming to you with my review of The Testament of Sister New Devil, Episode 5, A Little Sister's Morning Devil Lording. And that whole thing was a mouthful, but this episode was definitely a mouthful. Oh my gosh. There was so much just like boobs and ass everywhere. This is my type of episode. This episode is actually pretty awesome because we see like first Basra, he wakes up and Maria is inside of his shirt with no, like, she took off her underwear. So she's like inside of his shirt naked, and he's freaking out a little bit. But I mean, Maria is a succubus. This really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone anymore, because that's her job, is seducing men, well, seducing people in their sleep. So Maria was inside his shirt when he woke up, and he flipped out a little bit. And he chopped her on the head, of course, and made her put on his shirt, and there's a whole lot going on. So Basila went downstairs, and he was about to go in the bathroom, and he stumbled upon Mio, because the sign wasn't up on the door saying that it was occupied. So he walked in, and Mio freaked out, and he hurried up and covered her mouth, and they slipped and fell, and her ass ended up in his face, and he was like squeezing on it and shit. And of course they covered it up. I mean, I think hell would freeze over the day that they actually don't, like, they don't cover up anything. But there was a whole lot of covering up in this episode. But I was slightly disappointed. It made me kind of sad. But this whole episode was pretty much just like boobs and butt everywhere. But after that whole incident, of course, Mio kicked him, and they went about their business. And he was like, there was no sign on the door. He was like, the only other person who would do that would be Maria. So, but of course, Mio still shocks him, because she was like, you didn't have to do anything, but he was still like squeezing on her butt and stuff. So she shocked him, and he was in the bathroom like washing up, and of course Yuki comes out of nowhere, and she's trying to like wash him, and of course Maria let her in. So Yuki was trying to wash him, and Basta was hesitant, but Yuki got offended. She was like, we used to take baths together when we were little, so why can't I do it now? Why can't I wash you? You let Mio and Maria wash you, so why can't I do it? Blah, blah, blah. So he let her do it. And of course, Mio started talking to him, and he was freaking out because Yuki was in the bathroom with him with no clothes on. And Mio came in and was trying to talk to him, and then she walked in the shower, and Yuki had no clothes on. And then she was going to try to shock him again. And he was like, no, don't do that. I'll say blah. And then this whole thing just went about. When she was about to shock him, her curse kicked in, and she she was in need of some basura. So, but while all this was happening, of course, Maria comes in. I think she did all this on purpose. She comes in, and she's trying to like film everything that's happening, and Basra locks her in the shower. So Basra has to take Mio upstairs, and it's just this whole. After that, they show them like he's at school, and he's being like confronted by all these kids, and they're like, well, you're living with Princess Mio, and you also have Princess Yuki hugging on you, but there's nothing going on, right? Blah blah blah. And the teacher comes up out of nowhere, so they leave him alone. And then Yuki comes up, and she's like, well, will you go on a date with me? Well, that was actually later on in the episode. Actually, he was talking to the masked man. I really do not remember what his name is, but he was talking to the masked man. He was talking to Takagawa, and they were out actually like having dinner together at a barbecue restaurant, and they were having a whole conversation about like the master servant pact, and him watching over Mio, and pretty much telling him that there are more people that are going to be coming for her, and that he needs to make sure that he watches over her, because of that pact, if she were to be kidnapped, it could possibly kill her, which would be really really bad. So they just had this whole conversation. Then Takegawa, he was like, well, I don't want to talk about this jury subject anymore. So then at that moment, Hasegawa, the school nurse, comes up and she sits with them and pretty much has dinner with them, because she's like, all these men, I've had like 4 or 5 men come up to me and ask me if they can eat with me. And she was like, is a woman eating by herself really that lonely looking? And they were like, no, of course not. So they continued to eat and they were having fun. And then you see like Takegawa, he walks away, and Basara walks with Hasegawa, and she pretty much, you can tell that she knows, like she knows but she doesn't know, like she can somewhat tell what's going on but she really doesn't know. So she was like giving Basara advice and telling him like he needs, like she said before, watch the company that you keep, and just make sure that you know what you need to protect, and when you do know that, draw the line that you know you won't surrender to. So she's pretty awesome. Even like I said, she knows but she doesn't know. So she gives him that advice and he takes it to heart, and then he gets home and he confronts Maria about the master servant pact, and she's pretty much like, well, I really didn't think about it that way, I really just did that so that way you would be able to tell where Mio is, blah blah blah. And then of course, because she's a succubus, she has her reasons. So she was talking to Basara, and then she finally gets Basara to play the game that she had given him at the beginning of the show, and he pretty much blew it. And then Maria went through and showed him how he was supposed to play it, and it ended up with her with no clothes, well, the girl in the game with no clothes on. And she was like, you need to learn how to talk to a girl, a strong-willed girl. If you say the right things, then you'll be able to peel her shell away and all this kind of stuff. It was pretty funny. And of course, like, Maria was like rubbing all up on Basara, and Mio had knocked several times at that point. She came in and of course she punished Maria, which was kind of sad, but I mean, Maria do be doing the most sometimes. So after all that, we see Takegawa, he's walking, and Zeal, I believe his name is Zeal, comes out of the demon portal, and he is going to be one of the new people that are going to be watching over Mio. And then also another person came out, I can't remember what her name is. She came out, she's like, from what was told, the leader of the demon world's right hand woman. So they don't really say what she's there for, but it looks like things are about to get real interesting because Takegawa had to submit to her. And then of course more heroes are coming from the hero clan, and one of the main one's name is Karumi, whom I think is a girl, I'm not sure, but they're pretty much, they say in this episode that Mio has been bumped up from a subject for observation to a subject for elimination. So it looks like things are about to get really interesting real quick because Mio's life is in danger right now. So yeah, that kind of sucks. I was kind of hoping that this like wouldn't happen. I mean, Mio is awesome, but now she has been bumped up for elimination. So next couple episodes sound like they're going to be pretty interesting considering that fact. So yeah, this episode was freaking awesome. I love this episode, and like I said, there was just a whole lot of nudity. It was just, but of course they covered it up. I mean, but then there was also a part like when Basara was talking to Takegawa and they showed the whole incident that happened between him and Mio when he had to take her upstairs, and yeah, it went down. But anyways, so as always, I would love to hear how you guys felt about this episode, but please remember to comment, thumbs up, and subscribe. It helps me a whole lot. And this is TsubakiSwagg saying adios.